All right, and now we have several experts on standby to answer more of your questions that you may be having as well. And we're going to start with Laura McNeal here in the studio, our BNC legal correspondent and expert on this case. Now, you actually called some of this before when we were talking. You said, I think they're going to do the right thing. This is what I think is going to happen. So what are your thoughts now that we've heard the verdicts?
Shannon, I am elated because so often we don't see justice, especially when the victim is black in our criminal justice system. And what we saw today is we saw the Lady Justice, as I call her, with the blindfolds on, that justice was blind. They didn't consider the race of Ahmaud Arbery. The jurors looked at the facts and applied it to the law. And the fact that you have to keep in mind, a lot of people, when they're hearing the counts, they're like, well, wait a minute, they didn't hold Greg McMichael accountable for malice murder. They didn't hold Roddy Bryant accountable for malice murder. What's very important is because all three defendants were held guilty, found guilty for felony murder in the state of Georgia, that carries a punishment of life in prison or death. And that's with or without the possibility of parole. The judge will make that decision. So regardless of how many counts they actually received, what's important is they all now have a sentence of life in prison. This is justice for Ahmaud Arbery's family. This is justice for all the black men that simply want to have the freedom to run in a neighborhood and not be stopped, shot, and killed.
And just to be clear, there are 4 different felony murder counts here and then 2 different aggravated assault counts. What is the difference between those?
Yes, so essentially for felony murder, it means that you were in the commission of committing a felony, and in the process, someone was killed. I know that the prosecutor gave the jurors an example of you're trying to rob a convenience store and you don't mean to kill the clerk, but the clerk gets killed in the process. And so what the jurors found is that these defendants were involved in committing a felony, which one of them was aggravated assault, for instance, with the use of a truck. When you use a truck based on the aggravated assault law in Georgia as a weapon, that is considered to be aggravated assault. A 12-gauge shotgun considered to be, again, aggravated assault. It means you put someone in imminent apprehension of harmful or serious bodily harm. Also, false imprisonment. Again, that's the felony. And so what the jury's saying is, for instance, Roddy Bryant, when you use your truck to trap Ahmaud Arbery, that was false imprisonment. You retained him. You made it where he could not freely move about. And in that process of committing that false imprisonment, that felony, he was killed. And as he was killed, that now qualifies for felony murder. Same thing with aggravated assault. So, you know, it's very important that we understand all of these crimes carry very, very hefty punishments. This is a rejoice. This is a day that we all hope would happen, that we see our legal justice system working the way it should.
And you said this does prove that there was justice for Ahmaud Arbery in this situation, although they were not all found guilty of malice murder. Do you think that the family, that those watching will think that this was a fair verdict, that the jury did their job and did it well?
I think so. You know, this wasn't a rash decision, a rush decision. We saw a jury saying, you know what, we want to make sure we're sure. Your Honor, we're going to go home tonight. We're going to think about, we think we've reached a verdict, but we want to sleep on it. This is a jury that said, let us see the video, not once, not twice, but 3 more times. Let us listen to Greg McMichael's 911 call again. They made sure that they were not rushing, that they methodically applied the facts to the law, and this is the outcome they've come to. And so I think that the family should be very pleased, and just America, knowing that you can have an all-white jury, essentially, with 1 black juror, still reach a just result, that race doesn't always determine outcomes, and that's very inspirational, to be quite honest, for our justice system.